Welcome to this explainer. Today we're looking at something that absolutely shatters our expectations of vehicle physics. We're going to unpack the engineering, the sheer audacity, and the mind-bending power of the newly announced 200-mile-per-hour Hennessey Maximus street truck. You know, if you thought the era of massive fuel-burning performance was quietly winding down, well, this vehicle makes a very, very loud argument to the contrary.
Okay, let's dive into this. The biggest question we really have to ask ourselves as we look at this absolute behemoth is pretty simple. Is this the ultimate street truck? Like, what truly defines the absolute pinnacle of a pickup truck that's built not for crawling through the dirt, but for completely dominating the pavement? To understand how we even get to ultimate, we first have to look at the crazy foundation this beast is built upon. Section 1. The ultimate street truck. Let's look at the 777 horsepower baseline. So the factory Ram 1500 Rumble Bee SRT is already an absolute monster right out of the gate. We're talking about a factory-delivered 777 horsepower supercharged V8. Think about that for a second. That is significantly more power than what you'll find in most traditional purpose-built supercars. By literally any measure, it's a completely ridiculous pickup truck. But here's the thing. For the mad scientists at Hennessey Performance, 777 horsepower isn't the finish line. Honestly, it's barely even the starting point.
Moving on to Section 2, a 1,032 horsepower heart and pushing the limits.
The jump in power they've engineered is just immense. We're going from an already massive 777 horsepower to an absolutely staggering 1,032 horsepower, and it's throwing down 947 pound-feet of torque. We're taking a vehicle that's already living at the extreme bleeding edge of factory performance and just pushing it entirely out of the atmosphere.
So the crucial point is, how exactly do they achieve this? Because you don't just magically find another couple hundred horsepower hiding under the couch cushions, right? The heart of the Maximus is that familiar supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi V8, but it's been thoroughly and meticulously reworked. Hennessey fits it with a higher capacity intercooler to keep those temperatures down under extreme load, a larger intake tube to just force feed more air into the system, and crucially, their own proprietary engine calibration to make all these upgraded components work in perfect, aggressive harmony.
And this brilliantly illustrates what they've actually done here. When you do the math, that's a gain of 255 horsepower over the stock Rumble Bee. To put that into a perspective we can all easily wrap our heads around, that extra power alone is equivalent to taking the engine from an entire Honda Civic Si and just bolting it onto the already ferocious V8. It's a mind-boggling amount of force to add to an already extreme vehicle.
Section 3. Chasing supercar speed. We are redefining the 6,000-pound brick.
Now, if the engine is the heart, the real-world performance figures are definitely the soul of the Maximus. Hennessey estimates this absolute behemoth will launch from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.0 seconds flat. Let that sink in for a moment. 3 seconds, in a vehicle that weighs about as much as a small house.
This is where the engineering truly shines. We are comparing the Maximus, a 6,000-plus pound pickup truck, against legendary all-time supercar royalty, the Ferrari F40 and the Porsche 959. And guess what? The Maximus beats both of them to 60 miles per hour. It outpaces them in the quarter mile at just 10.9 seconds, and it runs right alongside them with a claimed top speed of 200 miles per hour. It is quite literally a very fast brick that defies every single thing we expect from vehicle physics.
Section 4. Beating aerodynamic physics. Let's talk about the 200 miles per hour paradox.
To get a truck to 200 miles per hour safely, you need a lot more than just brute force. You need to control the air flowing around it. And this is exactly where Hennessey's VenomAero comes into play. It's a custom aerodynamic body kit specifically engineered to keep this massive, heavy behemoth physically planted to the ground when the air pressure is trying its absolute hardest to lift it up into the sky.
So what does this VenomAero package actually include? Because it's definitely not just for looks. You've got an aggressive front splitter cutting the air, new side skirts managing the flow down the profile, various lightweight carbon fiber components, and the centerpiece, a massive rear wing. Interestingly, this wing is a clear, deliberate visual homage to the 1999 Hennessey Viper Venom 650R. It's an incredibly bold design choice that serves a very real purpose, pushing those rear wheels hard into the pavement. But here is the ultimate paradox of extreme performance engineering. To actually achieve that headline-grabbing 200-mile-per-hour top speed, you have to physically remove the massive rear wing. No joke. Why? Because at those extreme speeds, the wing just creates far too much aerodynamic drag. It's simple physics. You can have massive downforce for cornering stability, or you can have a slick aerodynamic profile for straight-line top speed, but you absolutely cannot have both at the same time.
Section 5. The SRT-10 Legacy, the ancestry of an apex predator.
You see, Hennessey is drawing a very deliberate line here to one of the most iconic performance pickups in history, the Dodge Ram SRT-10. For those of you who remember, that was the lunatic truck that dropped an 8.3-liter Viper V10 engine directly into a pickup bed, completely revolutionizing what a performance truck could even be. The Maximus operates is the modern spiritual successor to that exact formula. Notice the lowered four-corner air suspension and the massive 22-inch wheels wrapped in street performance rubber. Just like the old SRT-10, the Maximus is not some lifted off-road mud crawler. It is a dedicated, pavement-pounding rocket ship.
Section 6. The cost of excess. Time to get into production and pricing.
The Maximus is really the culmination of decades of performance heritage, tracing all the way back from the '99 Venom wing to the 2004 SRT-10 era. But if you actually want one in your driveway, you're going to have to be patient. The base Ram Rumble Bee hasn't even been released yet. Hennessey states that production for the Maximus is currently slated to begin in the first quarter of 2027.
And then, of course, there is the price. While Hennessey hasn't officially announced the final number just yet, we can do some highly educated guessing here. The base 2027 Ram 1500 Rumble Bee SRT is expected to start at nearly $98,000 all on its own. When you look at Hennessey's previous hypertruck, the Mammoth, which cost well over $150,000, it's pretty safe to say that $150,000 is the absolute minimum floor for this build. This is definitely not a truck for the masses. It's an incredibly expensive toy meant for a very specific, power-hungry individual.
At the end of the day, the Hennessey Maximus is a fascinating, totally excessive tribute to the wild, untamed spirit of American automotive engineering. It is 1,000+ horsepower of pure, unadulterated excitement. It's not practical, and it certainly isn't necessary, but it is undoubtedly a uniquely awesome engineering exercise. So I'm going to leave you with this question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. If you had the keys to this 6,000-pound beast, would you take the wing off to chase 200? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep seeking out the fascinating details.